Strangers will come and say, I want to suck your What? I was like, what? How did we get here, Stephen? How? I've been waiting for you. Okay, guys, hello. We are back. Love is Blind, week 2. Today, the episode is out on Wednesday, as promised. And guys, my jaw on the floor again. But before we do get into it, if you are not already, guys, please subscribe so you can see every week as I am reviewing Love is Blind. And I have a new series that I've started on my channel called Sunday Chills. I'm sure you can tell from the title, it drops every Sunday. I'll be having deep conversations with people very close to me, close to my heart. Here's a little snippet of last Sunday's episode that just went. So what is something you wish you would have told me when we were kids, and why didn't you? You're doing a good job. Okay. Because I think you had a lot of responsibilities being the older sister, and it was just, I guess, no shade to our parents or anything, but it was just assumed you would help out. And I guess you were never told, like, that was a lot what you did for us, I would say. So, oh god. Okay. So yeah, that's what I would say. I'd say, like, you're doing a good job. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, if you do like the sounds of that, stick around for Sunday. That will be dropping. But today we are discussing Love is Blind, episode 7 to 9. Why is everything rhyming? Anyways, let's get into it. As always, looking at my phone for my notes. So we are with Alex and Tim, and he's, open to keep exploring, as she does seem remorseful. So it's looking like they're gonna work through things, okay? And then we see Tyler and Ashley, and they are riding camels at this point, or about to go and ride camels. Anyway, he's asking her, can she see herself getting married to him? And she's like, I could get married tomorrow. I don't think I'm gonna find another guy like you. And this couple makes me nervous at this point, because I'm like, I am rooting for them, but I'm like, it just feels too good to be true, too smooth. We're gonna get hit with a bump. We're gonna get rocked. So we see Hannah and Nick. So everybody's doing their activities. Hannah and Nick go bungee jumping, and they seem to like it. They didn't need to work themselves up for it at all. They just kind of jumped, and they were like, "Oh yeah, okay." Would you guys go bungee jumping? Comment below. Also, have you ever been bungee jumping? I don't know why it shocked me so much, but I do remember, I don't know if any of you guys watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette. They do say that they put some of these couples on these dates that are very like high intensity and scary, because it really does build a bond and form a connection a lot quicker. So I don't know, maybe the producers were like, we need to get them back on track. Who knows? It seems to have worked a bit. We'll get into them in a bit. So Monica and Stephen are having a conversation, and she's like, in the pods, you said, you'd get me flowers, and you haven't done that yet. She's like, yeah, what's going on? And Stephen's saying, I was using it as a concept. It wouldn't necessarily be flowers. I'm like, what? But then it's like, what concept? Because you haven't done anything. Fair enough if you said flowers, but it might be one day you stop off and pick up one of her favorite desserts, or you get her some chocolate or some wine or a bracelet or something. But it's like, you made this promise that you're going to do something and you don't do it. That's one thing I really don't like. I don't know, guys, comment below what you think, but it's like, I'm not even someone that needs flowers. To be honest, I don't really want them, because I always say my apartment is where flowers come to die. But the minute you say it and you don't do it, I'm like, oh, okay, you're someone who goes back on your word. You know what I mean? I'd rather you don't promise me anything and just surprise me here and there. So yeah, Monica, obviously, she's stressing to him. Gifts are one of her love languages. And, I think she said it's like top 3. And he's like, yeah, it's one of his last. And I'm like, oh boy. Yeah, they're not looking good. I was always side-eyeing him from the M comment. And yes, by the way, I've had more conversations about that. And it is an offensive term. I was right to think, is that offensive? Yes, it is. Like, maybe some people may want to refer to themselves as it. That's their own prerogative. But as a white man, a 10% Nigerian, hold tight, white man, to go and call her that, like, highly inappropriate. And I'm still perplexed as to why she didn't call him out on that. But anyway, also guys, comment below, what are your love languages? I'm actually curious to hear. And let's do top 3. So yeah, they're having this whole conversation, and his whole take on it is, he doesn't want to feel forced into doing something, and he's starting to get like second thoughts a bit or something like that. And instantly Monica's in there defend, like, are you having second thoughts? What's going on? And I don't feel like I was satisfied by his answer. He likes to talk around things, a lot of word salad, basically. I was like, he's giving a little sketchy. Let's see if he actually gets her any gifts. We're going to get onto that. I have a lot to say. So then Alex and Tim, they go on this ATV, is that how you say it? Day, and they're driving around across a bridge, like over heights, which Tim is scared of. I would be a nervous wreck as well. And then, yeah, so they pull up and they get to see this beautiful sunset. There is nothing, let me tell you, there is nothing like watching the sunset with someone who you love or care deeply about. It's the most, oh my God, by the water as well. Sun setting on the water, one of my most beautiful things. Like, I could just cry watching it, whether I'm sat by myself or, in the arms of a lovely gentleman. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, so they watch the sunset. It's a beautiful moment for them. Tim decides he's coming home, and I'm like, okay, maybe these guys can get through it. As long as they're both willing to put in the work on themselves, like, as long as Alex has identified she's got something she needs to work through too, maybe. So the couples meet up again in the evening, and then they're like, there's fireworks going on, so they want to go outside to watch them. So they will go outside. However, Stephen is talking with Garrett, and Monica's like, oh my God, there's fireworks, let's go. And he's like, yeah, 1 minute, I'm just talking. And Monica gets annoyed because she wanted to watch the fireworks with her man. I do get that. Don't get me wrong. I do get that. But I also get Stephen, like, if you're in the middle of a conversation, if it was a serious conversation, which he does later on say it was, like, you're not going to be like, okay, yeah, hold that thought. Let me go watch the fireworks. Especially if someone's opening up to you, if that is what it was. And after the fireworks, this is my thing. One thing I really don't take to, so maybe it's going to make me a bit biased. I don't like passive aggressiveness. So she came in and she was just like, oh, that was so romantic. Thanks for coming to watch fireworks with me. Yeah, something along those lines. And it's just like, just say, oh, you missed the fireworks. Like, I wish I could have got to see them with you. Like, just be honest in what it is you're thinking. And so, yeah, she goes to sit with the girls. He can tell there's an issue. He obviously comes over, brings her a drink. It's sparkling water. She doesn't like sparkling water. He's like, oh. So, yeah, he's come over to apologize. And is, explaining, we're in the middle of a serious conversation with Garrett. And I was like, talking with him about this whole situation. And because he talks so much and he talks in circles, I don't know how we get there. But he then ends up saying, let me see. Yeah, because we've made it on the show, we're going to have people coming out of the woodwork saying negative things about us. Strangers will come and say, I want to suck your dick. What? I was like, what? How did we get here, Stephen? How? And Monica's annoyed, so she just gets up and walks away. And then it's just Stephen and Taylor left awkwardly there, listening to him talking about all these strangers that are going to be coming up to them after they leave. It was just, I was like, Stephen, I don't know. I'm not feeling him. So then we have the couples leaving Mexico. They head back to DC. Hannah and Nick are arguing over who's more mature. She's saying, Nick is more immature. And I'm like, I feel like they're both at the same level of immature. They're both giving early 20s, even though Hannah is early. I'd say she's like mid-20s. She's 26, he's 28. They're giving your first relationship at 22 or something. Then what they're not giving is ready for marriage, to me. They could turn around and shock us all, but they both seem so immature. I can't see them getting ready for marriage. Monica is again unsubtly dropping hints about flowers, like, oh, what do we need to do? What are you going to pick up? Groceries, wine, beer, flowers? And he's like, more wine? And it's just like, outright tell him. I mean, you already have outright told him you want flowers. Now just sit back and watch and see, is he going to listen to you? This continuous, like, subtle hints or passive-aggressive way of saying it, he can flip it on you because some people, like myself, don't react well to that. Like, outright tell me or don't. Garrett and Taylor are looking through Garrett's social media and it's just all a bunch of fishes. And that moment between them is just cute. And I'm like, you know what? I do feel like Garrett is winning me over. I didn't think I could come back from him calling her calculated, but he does seem genuine with her and like he genuinely likes them. They seem like the healthiest couple there. I could be proven wrong again. Because initially they were the couple I really liked in the beginning. They seemed really well suited, but we'll see. So Tyler and Ashley, they're praying before bed, and he's like, "Oh, whoa," like as if he almost got a bit emotional. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if it's because I got in my head about him and I wasn't sure, and so I'm over analyzing everything. But I didn't even see any tears. Like, you know, and you're like, "Oh God, I almost got a bit emotional." Your eyes are gonna be a bit like teary eyed, you know? There was nothing. It was just, even she was like, "Are you sure?" Like, he feels very performative to me. Like, everything is right. So Taylor and Garrett go to meet Garrett's family. We're going to get onto them in a bit. Real quick, though, we find out Taylor's family didn't feel comfortable being on camera. But, you know, they're working on, like, making something happen. But initially it was looking like it wasn't going to happen. So I'm like, well, interesting. I do wonder though, I'm like, if I went on a show like this, would my parents want to go on? I'm not 100% sure. Because normally when we're watching, we're like, oh my God, how could the parents do this? Da, da, da. But some parents might look at it and think, you've known this guy for 3 weeks. I'm not coming to meet him. Because my parents have always said, you know, don't just bring any man around here. Like, you need to be like, this is the man I want to marry. And of course, on this show, that is what they're saying. But it's also a short amount of time. So some parents may be like, I'm not buying it. Come back to me when you're really sure. So Taylor, just from how she's carrying herself, the conversations she's saying, what she's coming back with to say, I would say as a whole, is someone who is great with families. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but Garrett's family seemed a bit cold. Like, she did an amazing job given what she had to work with, but I couldn't feel the warmth from them towards her. His mum is getting emotional, but not in a way of, I'm so happy, I'm glad you found someone. It was more, this is all moving too fast. Like, are you ready? Like, and all his family are almost interrogating her, which I guess when you're meeting the partner of someone you care about, there is a level of you've got some questions that need to be answered. But I don't know, there's a tactful way you do it. Like, you want to make them feel comfortable. They're coming into this space by themselves. And I truly felt Taylor being alone in that moment, but I'll give it to Garrett as well. He was very comforting in that. I'm trying to remember if he spoke up in certain moments, but even just down to like caressing her arm and while she's speaking and trying to like prove herself to his family of why she loves him and all this stuff. He was very like tactile with her in that moment, which must have felt good to know she's not alone. He's got her back type of thing, which I can imagine she really appreciated. So we see Ramesses and Marissa. He's cooking for her. The food looks good. I'm thinking Marissa got her dream. You know, she wanted a man who'd be okay staying at home cooking, and she doesn't really like it. Then I spoke too soon, and apparently the noodles, or we call it pasta in England, and in America it's noodles. So I'm just gonna say noodles because this is Love is Blind DC. They're too hard. So I definitely spoke too soon. And one thing I do notice, they have flowers. Everybody, and what's her name? Taylor took flowers for Garrett's family. Everybody's got flowers but Monica. And then we find out, well, I found out, I don't know if this was mentioned in the pods and I just missed it, but Marissa used to be a Mormon, which is making more sense why, you know, she's so against, like, she didn't want a man to marry them for their wedding. She wanted a woman to officiate it. But yeah, so that was interesting to see. And there's just other things she's strongly against. Like, she's always talking about the patriarchy, and she does. And I think it's because now she's finally left the religion. So then they get onto the topic of military, and I'm like, damn. Because their views are so opposite. Like, Ramesses is completely against the military and what it stands for. Marissa is for some of it. Like I said, she supports the troops. They're not aligned at all. Obviously, she used to be military. I'm like, this is gonna be a really tough thing. I don't know if they can overcome it. They're so, like, did they truly discuss their views before deciding to get married? Because, yeah, she even says, like, I don't know if I can handle you being ashamed of my service, like her being in service for the military. And I think he is, like, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get past that. But yeah, that's the end of episode 7. We move on to episode 8 and Stephen and Monica. Stephen has taken so long, no flowers for Monica. So you know what he does? He takes her to a flower pressing workshop, which is cute. These flowers will last they'll last a long time. They can decorate the house with like the little things that they make. Great. I didn't like it. Like if it was a standalone date, whatever, and he did it, that's beautiful. That would be great. What a lovely date he planned. But him doing this when all she wanted was him just to get her flowers, for me, a bit of a red flag. Like, if I ask you for something and you decide you want to do something else, it's like, why can you not just give me what it was I wanted? Because these are like pressed flowers, which she had to make for herself, by the way. It's not like he went and made it for her. He made his own, she made her own. Cool. If he then had handed her a bouquet of flowers as well, like, because he was like, he's taken so long with no flowers, he's got to go one step above. I don't know if this is, like, if she just wants flowers or a gift, don't take her to go and make something for herself. I don't know. Just my thoughts. Maybe I'm too harsh, but that was a bit of a red flag to me. But comment below your thoughts. And yeah, so we're finding out Monica's dad actually doesn't want to be filmed. A lot of parents are like more standoffish this year, but I get it. After all these years of seeing the success rate of the show and how it goes, they're probably going to think, what's the point coming on if it's not even, you know? I get it. You signed up to be on TV doesn't mean your family are going to be for that too. But comment below your thoughts on families declining being on the show. So we go to Nick's home, which is like he's living with his parents. Well, they've like converted a basement. He's 28. The financial times that we're in now, I'm never like looking down on men in their late 20s, early 30s even, living at home, especially if they're saving and they want to buy their own place. That's fine. Like, no shade in that at all. I've dated many a guy like that and they're saving to buy their own house. Fair. And I think I'm jumping ahead of myself now. But what was a bit of a red flag side eye to me is the fact his parents are still paying his phone bill. Anyway, so yeah, Ramesses and Marissa go to meet her friends and they're speaking on their disagreements of like about the military. And her friend makes a good point. This isn't something you can agree to disagree on because it plays a part in how you're going to raise your children. And that's a good point. Like, what if their child decides they want to be in the military? Marissa will be like, do you know what? You know, I'm for the troops and what they do, like, serve your country. I'm not going to hold you back. Whereas Ramesses will have no parts of his children being anywhere near that involved in that. These are big factors to look into. It's not an agree to disagree. Her friend was right. They need to get to the crux of this. So then we see Alex and Tim. They're getting ready to see her family. She lets Tim know, we can talk to my family about our journey, but don't mention the proposal. Like, she wants him to get his blessing first before they let him know. So I was like, okay, interesting. And so getting to meet Alex's dad, I can see where Alex gets her personality from. But her family's very sweet. Like, her brothers seem so lovely. And she lets them know, though, if you don't like Tim, I won't like him. But luckily, they seem to love him. That must have been nerve-wracking, though, because she went in to chill with her family first. And Tim had to walk in by himself. I don't know, I'd want my partner to walk in with me. Like, don't just let me come into the lion's den alone. But yeah, they seem to be loving him. He's killing it. He's so respectful and lovely to them all. And then, yeah, the moment comes, so they're eating, and then she's like, and then they leave Tim and Alex's dad to have a conversation. And he's like, you know, when we were in the pods, I read this letter to Alex before proposing, but I want to read it to you to get, you know, your approval. So he reads the letter and asks for Alex's hand in marriage, asks for the blessing. And it's such a sweet moment. Like, I was in tears. Like, Alex's dad is like, okay, I need a moment. I need to gather myself. And he's like, oh, tears are coming to his eyes. Like, and then, yeah, he gives his blessing. It's the most beautiful moment. It seems to me like it means so much to Tim as well. There is a bond made there. Like, they already found out, you know, they both love golf, and they were both born in England because of their dads being in the Navy or military. There's a lot of military going on this year. But yeah, it's so beautiful. And then the family come in, and Alex's dad is like, Alex, come here. He gives her a hug. I was a puddle of tears. That was such a beautiful moment. And I am rooting for Alex and Tim. Am I alone? Guys, comment below your thoughts on Alex and Tim. So then we see Taylor and Garrett go to see her place, another like basement conversion. She has a lot more space. Cute little apartment. She's renting that out from her friend because she's not in DC as much. She's in between because of her work. And so we see them sit down and talk about, in the pods, they were speaking about moving to San Diego. We later find out that's where her family is. And he likes the idea of San Diego, or he did in the pods. And now it's like there is a bit of doubt seeping in. It seems like his family are against it, and it's making him seem unsure. So that's them. And then we go back to Stephen and Monica. We find out Stephen lost his job. And then they start talking about their sex life, but it gets a little weird. I feel like the reason we got there initially was Monica hearing that Stephen wasn't sure about marriage made her feel like she didn't want to then continue having sex with him, which I get, fair enough. But then they start talking about what they like, what they don't like. I don't know. Hearing on camera and the way they were talking about it, it wasn't like a normal conversation. It was just weird. It was like, are we meant to be here? So Ashley and Tyler meet her dad. And do you know what? As a whole, it seems to go well. The dad seems to like Tyler. He seems to be saying all the right things. Ashley goes off. He asks for Ashley's hand in marriage. The dad says yeah. Like, everything is like check, check, check. But I don't have the same feeling I had when it was Tim and Alex and her dad, similar situation. It's not the same. It just feels, something about Tyler just doesn't feel genuine to me. And I don't know if it's the way that, in this moment, I'm like, I don't know if it's how they're editing it, because everything is check, check, check. But something in my spirit is telling me no. But I will say, in the moment, I can imagine Ashley must feel like on cloud nine. Like, you've got your future husband sat with your dad. They seem to be getting on. He's saying all these amazing things about you. Like, you must just feel so happy you want to, but like, I can only imagine how great she must have felt in that moment. So then we cut back to Stephen and Monica's place. And Monica's there in tears. Taylor's talking to her, and it's all cryptic, and I'm like, what has happened? You see Stephen like scuffling around in the background. I'm so confused. So Taylor's like, I'll give you guys a bit of time. So she walks out. Stephen comes and sits down. We find out Stephen went on a sleep test. Somebody let me know what the heck is a sleep test. But we hear he's drunk at this sleep test and messaging girls like dirty messages, like what he wants to do to them and all this stuff. And he was messaging them the next day. He tried to lie about it. She called him out on it. And he's just like, you know, I was in a bad headspace. And he tries to blame it on the conversation we had yesterday. And she's like, don't you dare try and put this on me. And I was like, yeah, you tell him, Monica. But it feels like he's over, unless they both decided, maybe the way this is edited, maybe it's like they had already called things off because the ring was off, but they had to have this conversation on camera again, just for the sake of camera, because there was no fight from him whatsoever. And there was another couple, I remember the guy seemed like he just was over it straight away so easily, and I was like, but it turns out they had already broken up, but they had to do it again on camera. Maybe it's a case of that, but he wasn't fighting or anything. I remember she asked him, can you Venmo me the money back that I've, helped you out with this week? She's like, run me back my money. He's like, yeah, I shouldn't have come. It's not fair to you. I shouldn't have come on this show. She gets emotional because I guess it's wiping out their whole connection, like as if he's not happy he met her. And I guess what she wanted him to say is, I shouldn't have done what I did. Not I shouldn't have come on the show, because that's showing regret of meeting her. But yeah, he just gets up, walks off the sofa and says, I'm sorry, I'll leave you alone now. He didn't even try to fight for her. That's what I've written. But I'm like, the more I think about it now, I'm like, it has to have been a situation where they had already broken up off camera and they're just doing it for camera. If not, Stephen is a liar and sold dreams, and I was right to be skeptical of him. So yeah, that's the end of episode 8. Episode 9. So Nick and Hannah are having dinner with her brother, and she's getting, little digs in, like, he obviously says the brother asks how tall is he? He's like, I'm 5'11". The brother's like, oh, I'm the same height. And there's like a slight height difference between them. So one might be like 5'11" and a half or something. Who knows? Maybe the soles of them are a bit taller. And Hannah's just like, yeah, no, he's the same height as me. Like trying to say he's way short, and she's 5'9". I didn't like that. Even though it's a joke, for me, commenting on a man's height, I feel like is as sensitive as commenting on a woman's weight. So trying to bring a man down, calling him shorter than what he is, like, oh, you're so short. Unless he's like 6'6", where it's like, okay, this guy is clearly tall. Like, you saying he's short is a joke. Yeah, it's like a man saying, oh, you're a bit big, aren't you? Or like, do you know what I mean? I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't here for it. So then she brings up, he's talking about, he did the washing and then the dryer took ages and then he took the clothes out. And she's like, yeah, and then he left them on the bed for me to fold. And he's like, well, that's what you do when you're unemployed. And she did not like that. So it's like, she can dish out the little digs here and there, but she doesn't like it when it's back on her. And later on, Hannah's brother, I think his name is Kane, and Nick, they bond over that, over the fact, like, Hannah's brother's even like, yeah, she can be quite mean, but she doesn't like it when it's done back to her. So that was interesting to see that conversation take place. So it's like, Hannah's got a bit of work to do, but maybe she's open to putting in the work. So we see Garrett and Taylor having dinner, and then they speak more on Garrett's family they're not happy about him moving to San Diego, but he's basically like, so yeah, and yes, they're not keen on him moving there, but they're planning to go there to meet her family. And he's also like, if my family are against this, respectfully, I don't care what they say. I'm still going to marry you. Whereas I feel like Taylor is a bit more, she'll see type thing. I think she just wants to speak to her family first and then she can speak on it more. Whereas at least they've met his family. So now he's seen all he needs to see. It's easier for him to speak on it. Alex and Tim go to his house. Lovely home. He's asking her, can you see yourself here? She's like, yeah, we're going to make some changes. He's like, cool. Maybe I had Tim wrong. Maybe I had Tim all wrong, because I was so skeptical of Tim in the beginning. I'll be so honest, guys. But so far, green flags. Except for the amber ones I saw in the beginning. But now, he seems to be a stand-up guy. So then, we meet Marissa's mum. I'm going to use the word iconic, but I don't even know if I'm using it in a positive way. I'll be real. Wow. She says to Rams's face, I don't really like your style. It's off. She also says Marissa is a bitch. Like, Marissa's mum is so, like, upfront and will just say it like it is. I don't know how to take it. I'll be real with you guys. She then goes on to say, marriage doesn't last forever. I think at this point, Marissa has left the table. So many men have fucked Marissa over. Her dad, her stepdad. And I'm just like, oh my God. There's so many moments her face is like stone cold. By the way, Marissa stole her face. Can you guys see the similarities? They look so similar. Also, comment below, guys. Let me know, where is Marissa from? I'm not 100% sure. But yes, she's like so stone cold, so blunt, like dissing people. But then you see this warmth in her, like she'll be like, oh, I love you, Marissa, or give her a hug, or she made this photo album for her. She is a complex character, and I feel like she has lived a life. Like, she was having to take care of 4 kids at like in her early 30s, I think it was. Divorced, like her husband left her. I'm guessing she was in the Mormon church and left. Like, she's been through a lot, and I think that's shaped her character. I would love like a sit down long interview with Marissa's mom just to learn what she's been through that has made her the person she is today. But yeah, she's saying all this to say, you guys need to get a prenup. That's not a bad thing to say, to be fair. She's just like, you know, protect my daughter. And he's like, you know, I don't want her money, so I'll do it. And she's like, listen, she ain't got money now, but who knows what the future holds. And I'm all for that, because yes, you get married and you want it to last forever. I know Marissa's mum said marriage never lasts forever, but there are some marriages that do, and everybody gets married with the intention of that being the case. But just in case, you should have a prenup. And like, I don't know if you guys watched The Bachelorette, Rachel Lindsay, she's going through it right now. When she got married, they weren't even in the state of California, so the laws were different. They were living in either Texas or Miami, so it's like different. Spousal support was different, but then they moved to California. And now, years later, she's making a crazy amount of money, killing it. Shout out Rachel Lindsay. But now that she's divorcing her husband with no prenup, she's having to pay him, I think it's like £13,000, a crazy amount, or £30,000. I can't remember what it is, a month in spousal support for 2 years because she didn't sign a prenup. So, and when they got married, she wasn't making that money. So I do hear what Marissa's mum is saying. Could the message have been delivered in a nicer package? Maybe. But she's not a bad person. I would love an interview with Marissa's mum. I would, anyway. But yeah, I even say in my notes, like, I think her heart is in the right place. She's just like, and she's protective of his kids. She's just straight, no BS, like, says it like it is. At least you're gonna know where you stand with her, you know? So then we see Hannah and Nick meeting her family. Her family seems to love Nick, to be honest. And I feel like Hannah is very annoyed by this. She's like, are you going to grill him or what? And they're just like, no, let's just have a conversation. And they're very much like, at one point, Nick leaves the table and she's basically just, you know, letting them know about like some of her doubts and worries about him, things she doesn't like. And they're basically like saying, get over it. He's a good guy. Which maybe they know their daughter and they know she can like hyper focus on things that may not be as important. So that could be one side. But I couldn't help but get an energy from her parents like, you should be so lucky to have him. And I know I've been critical of Hannah, but I've never seen a family take the other person's side like this in Love is Blind history and not their own child. Like it was interesting to see. And I guess like that off the back of also knowing, you know, her struggling with her weight and her parents hiding snacks from her and like, was it a bit controlling? Who knows? I'm just like, And I could see she was a bit frustrated with it as well, but not in a sense that she reacted, more in, of course, this is what it is again type thing. I think she's used to them not taking her side. I could be over analyzing and reading into it a lot, but that's just what I got from that. But I do want to know, this is one thing I'm so curious. What are your thoughts on Nick meeting Hannah's family? How did you take that whole meeting and everything? So Alex and Tim go to Alex's apartment and she's like, oh my God, don't judge me, it's messy. And we walk in the room and there's clothes everywhere. And instantly I'm like, okay, she must have packed last minute. And if sometimes when I go away on holiday, I pack very early. So on the day I'm leaving, I have time to, you know, tidy my house so I come back to a clean apartment. That's rare. Many other times I come back, you know, clothes are all over the place because you're trying on outfits last minute, you're whatever. I'm very much like last minute, all over the place, trying to do 25 things in one day. Like I remember I went on a date the night I was flying out on holiday. I was flying out at 6 a.m. So I had my date in the evening. I got home and then had to start packing. Like I try and fit as much in as I can in my 24 hours. So I feel like that's what it was. Like it wasn't dirty. It was just a bit messy. And you can see she was embarrassed by it. But he did a good job of like making her feel like it's fine, which was really sweet. Had it been the other way around though, I don't know if Alex would have been as understanding as Tim was, which is, again, like he's really showing that I was wrong to judge him and I want to apologize to him. So yeah, then we see Garrett and Taylor meeting her friends, and they're questioning, you know, Taylor wants to go to San Diego. Do you want to go? It was almost like they were trying to put him off, but I guess that's a good, like, let him know how bad it is. How do you feel now? And he was like, but he basically said, I love this girl so much. Wherever she is where I want to be. So if she wants to go to San Diego, I'm living in San Diego, which I loved. And I think her friends were like, I think I even saw one friend like nod to the other, like, yep, check. Which was really, Garrett and Taylor are my favorite. I saw a trailer, like the teaser of what's coming up, and I'm like, I hope they're just trying to scare us, because they're one of the couples I'm rooting for the most. He's won me round. So then we have Marissa and Ramses. They're debriefing on meeting her family. And she's like, you know, how's it gonna be meeting your family? And his answer doesn't fill me with confidence. I'm a bit nervous for it. It sounds like it's gonna be quite something. So they start talking about, you know, when they want to have kids. She's saying like 2 years. He's saying 3 years or 4 years. They seem somewhat aligned. They could meet in the middle at like 3 years, 2.5 years or something. Cool. Then they get onto the topic of sex, and like she's like, okay, well, if we're not gonna have kids, I need to look into like birth control options. She's saying she doesn't want to go on birth control, but she's open to like, you know, using, and she's okay with having sex with condoms. He is not, and he doesn't want to use them. So I'm like, is this gonna be a sticking point for them? Is this gonna be an issue? Or are they just trying to find issues? Like, I think it was the couple last year, again, with birth control and everything. And then they ended up getting married and they were fine. I think they're still together now. Can't remember their names. So sorry to them. Everybody gave that couple a hard time. They called them so boring because they weren't problematic. They were just smooth sailing. Hannah goes to meet Nick's family. And I just want to know, can anybody tell me who that woman was? And by that woman, I mean the one that was saying her name was Hannah. Because we have not met this Hannah yet. She was so sweet, so lovely. She wooed his family. That girl knows how to meet a family. She took them all gifts. She's like, I heard you like pineapples. She had little pineapple salt and pepper shakers for them. She had gifts for the dad. Like, she did a good job. They loved her. And then her and the mom are there. They're cooking together. We find out Nick is part Cuban, which I didn't know. Did everybody else know? I'm guessing anyways, because the mum was explaining about Cuban cuisine and stuff like that. But yeah, Nick's family seemed to love Hannah. So at this point, I'm like, oh my God, are they actually gonna make it? I feel like they've got a lot of underlying issues though. They both did great with meeting the families. I think they're both good people. Like, they give great first impressions and stuff, but their actual relationship at the core, I don't know. We'll see. Then, guys, Ashley and Tyler. Ah! The thing is, I saw this coming, but I was still gutted. So we get to their apartment. The mood is somber. I'm thinking, what is going on? I've just had a thought, but we'll get into that in a second. I'll close off with that. She says, I feel like our superpower is not our superpower anymore. I'm like, okay. She's like, how can you drop this bomb on me 2 weeks before we get married? I should have known this before I said yes to your proposal. And I'm thinking, what is happening? What has he not said? And I am like, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And then we find out he has kids, 2 girls and a boy. I'm like, damn. How do you wait that long to let someone know you have kids? But then we're hearing he's uninvolved. I'm listening. Okay, what's going on? And so we find out he was a sperm donor, but it's for people he knew. I'm going to have to, because I've been trying to remain spoiler free, but I'm going to have to look into this. But yeah, I get what she's saying. Like, even if everything is all kosher and they're all co-parenting well, or he's a sperm donor and then it's all done and he's now removed, or whatever the situation may be, the fact you did not tell me this rings alarm bells. Like, if everything is all good, why didn't you tell me, number one? Number two, if you can hide this from me for so long, what else are you hiding? And I had a similar situation where there was a guy I was dating. I think, again, it was like 2 weeks in, maybe. A week or two in, I found out something he had told me wasn't the exact truth, and it was something else. And I'll be honest, I was never able to come back from that, because I'm just like, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you gonna lie about? I tried, but yeah, my head just wasn't in it after that, if I'm honest. And again, guys, remember last week when we saw him say, people may come out and say stuff about me, negative things, it won't be true, or something like that. He was pre-warning her for this. I was just like, I knew my gut was right not to trust this man. And again, I feel like he's just saying lines to her and hasn't actually explained why he lied. Like, he hasn't said, not lied, kept it from her. He hasn't said why he didn't tell her. He's just saying, you know, I care about you in this, and I see. He's not actually explaining himself. So I'm like, bit of a side eye. Yeah. And the sad thing is we see the downfall. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it past this. I don't know, because we do see them in next week's episodes. I think they're in the trailer. We don't see Monica and Steven, so are they gone? Like, we didn't get a they left the experiment, we got nothing. But yeah, guys, that was the episode. Like I said, oh my God. I think the title of my episode last week was like, I don't see any of these couples making it. They're falling, like Steven and Monica, maybe they're out. Ashley and Tyler, it's looking like, are they gonna make it? Nick and Hannah, they shouldn't, but they might, I don't know. What are their names? Taylor and Garrett, I do see working out, but we see her upset about something next week, but maybe they're making it more than what it is. Alex and Tim, maybe they'll say, maybe, I feel like Nick and Taylor, Alex and Tim, potentially are the two couples that are going to get married. But guys, comment below, which couples do you see making it to the aisle? Obviously, next week, we're going to see some of the people that didn't make it to the honeymoons coming. So we're going to get to see Bowden again. We're going to get to see some girl that Nick had been speaking to in the pods as well. And that's about to be a mess. But I want to know your thoughts on all the couples. Like I said, I love seeing your comments. I want to get into conversations with you guys. I'm excited for next week's episodes. You know what? Whatever Love is Blind give me, I'm gonna love it. I can't lie to you. I love this show regardless. Even their worst of the seasons that people have trashed the most, I've still enjoyed. I've loved it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment below. Let's get into it. And yeah, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff I'm meant to ask you to do, please do. And I'm just rambling now, and I don't really know how to end this. So I'm just gonna go.